Logan Paul, it's a really funny one. Before we get into the ins and outs of everything, had you seen the video or heard the news story of his original video before he reached out to you for his most recent video?
Well, I'd certainly heard lots about the video. I wasn't going to put myself in a position to watch that video. I get triggered easily by those kinds of things, and if I watched that video, it would be very disturbing for me. Listen, Logan Paul, he makes goofy videos online every day to make all kinds of people smile and laugh. I guess 16 million people, in fact. And I was really, I'm a forgiving person, but it's not my place to forgive anybody in the first place. So I looked at it like somebody made a mistake, and that individual is trying to atone for that mistake and find redemption and do something good. And that video he made, the original one, it hurt a lot of people, and certainly the family that of the victim. But we have to recognize that this young man is just that, a young man. He's 22. How would you feel if everyone recorded everything you were doing when you were 22, even if you were recording it yourself? I mean, we all have made mistakes in our youth. And the greatest thing about Logan Paul is that he sincerely cares about the mental well-being of his followers and people at large. And he knows he made a mistake, and he knows he needed to do something positive to change the outcome of people who are watching his videos on a regular basis. And he created something with the video we did that was very positive, very powerful, very enlightening, and very filled with hope. And that's what we needed to do. And not only did he do that, but he named off the 5 things one can do right now to help change the outcome of someone who's suicidal, which is so crucial for everyone across the globe to have that information at the tip of their fingers. And he put it right in his video. I was very glad with what he did, and it was very nice to meet him. And I can tell you, from meeting him and sitting down with him for 2 hours prior to even turning on the camera and just chopping it up, he's a good dude with a good heart who made a mistake.
And I guess that's the question. And listen, I'm not here to be judge, jury, and executioner of anybody. I guess I'm just asking, and I have conflicting feelings about it. And we discussed on the show on Friday, I kind of said, if that happened, if what he did, the filming of this body, if that happened on a traditional broadcaster, a TV station, if he was an anchor for CNN or had his own show there, he would no longer work for CNN. But YouTube is a bit more lawless in that regard. And so if YouTube are going to continue to allow him to post content, isn't it better that he posts this kind of content that has a conscience about it, that is informative, that can help people? He made the massive donation, and then other people are saying, cynically, this is what he has to do to survive, to maintain this empire that's made him very, very rich. And somebody who makes an error that grave in any other landscape wouldn't and shouldn't be allowed to continue in that lifestyle. He shouldn't be allowed to continue this privileged, carefree YouTube multimillionaire existence. If he wants to go off and open a bakery shop in a private capacity quietly, fine. But somebody who makes a mistake that grave, and it wasn't like it was live, they filmed it, they had the time to go away, to edit it, to decide whether or not to include the body, to not include the body, and to say this is the right thing to do, to leave it in. And for millions of people, you yourself said it could possibly trigger you, or it would very upset you. If you make a mistake that grave, do you deserve the second shot? I guess that's the big question.
I think we live in a society right now that is filled with shaming people. I'm not saying you. I'm saying, like, we live in this society that if you make a mistake, you're dead to life, and that it's over, like you're done. And I think that if we allowed people who made mistakes every day in their daily lives, who weren't YouTube vlogging millionaires, to never have a second chance or third chance or fourth chance, they would never redeem themselves. They would never become better. They would never do better. And I think that recognizing that to err is to be human is really important in this situation. And I recognize not to throw stones if you live in a glass house. There were so many people that made me so sick who responded to Logan Paul, and thousands of people wrote to him and said, kill yourself. Being mad at someone for showing a person who died by suicide, and then telling that same person to kill themselves. I think people need to back up, step back, and say, when you were 22, what's the worst thing you ever did? And aren't all of us 1,000 times better than the worst thing we've ever done? And I think that rings true in my heart. I told you I was a very forgiving person. It's not my place. I don't think it's everyone in the world's place who watches this media frenzy to judge Logan Paul. I think people need to back up and understand that human beings make mistakes. That is the nature of human beings. It's a huge mistake, but as he realizes that now his mission is suicide prevention, he is going to do a giant world of good where he made a small amount of bad on the grand scheme of things. And I think people need to understand that it's just not as simple as black and white, like you do this, you're out. You know, he worked very hard to build that YouTube empire, learning a technology that a lot of people didn't understand, and he earned that. And I think that realizing that he's human and that we've all made mistakes, and let's just go from there.
Yeah, and one, I absolutely agree with you about it is a persecution society, and people do love to pile on. And I suppose your word perhaps should have more weight than Joe Public's, given what you do for a living and where that came from. So I appreciate your honesty. Thank you.